of an Israeli strike on Beirut a few hours ago. Lebanon says 31 people have been killed in Israeli strikes today alone. Well, we can cross live to Israel and Zvika Klein, editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Thank you so much for being with us. What's the latest information that you have on the likelihood of some sort of deal or ceasefire?
On the one hand, there are talks about the fact that this is actually the furthest we've achieved. Israel has achieved together with Lebanon and Hezbollah, with the mediators, to get close to a ceasefire. That said, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization. Therefore, the expectations are, you can't expect anything until it's actually signed. And hopefully after being signed, it'll actually be implemented or respected by all sides. So there are those that are cautious, about their optimism regarding this type of ceasefire.
There are a number of details that people have been discussing. What's your understanding of the shape of any ceasefire deal?
Obviously, the basic is really a 2-month ceasefire of any sort. Obviously, Israel, removing its forces physically from Lebanon, and the request that Hezbollah's military would not be southern from the Litani River. That said, there are many elements that are not yet determined, such as, Israel wants the right to respond if they feel like there is some sort of a threat to its borders or to its security, and other issues that are not yet resolved.
What about the voice of those on the right within the government in terms of any potential opposition to the deal?
So we've definitely been hearing some voices of opposition towards the deal. Those who are saying within the Israeli government, this deal is not strong enough. We've seen similar, deals in the past that haven't actually managed to dismantle Hezbollah or to allow, so they see it just as like taking a pause into, another, hopefully not, but into another war that could potentially break out. That said, I think that the American administration, both the outgoing administration and the incoming administration, are very keen at making this deal work. And if that's so, and definitely with the incoming, if Donald Trump, pressures Prime Minister Netanyahu, which there are reports in Israel about this, then that will kind of, in a sense, almost force him to have to agree to this type of a deal.
What sort of pressure might Donald Trump have placed, given he's not actually in office yet? And how does it work with an outgoing and incoming president in terms of them and their teams working together in a situation as complex as this?
Well, the sense is that, Trump has been saying throughout his campaign and also after being elected that he wants to see peace, both in the Middle East, but also with Russia and Ukraine. But Israel has many fronts. It's, Russia and Ukraine have one front. Israel has many fronts in this war. And in a way, the front of Hezbollah, even though in Lebanon, fatal, deadly, and dramatic with the amount of, tens of thousands of drones and missiles sent towards Israel, it's easier to obtain a ceasefire with Lebanon as opposed to Gaza, where it's a whole different situation regarding hostages, civilians, and many other issues, such as there's no sovereignty for anyone in that area, as opposed to Lebanon, which is a country, and most of its citizens, I would hope, want to return to normal.
Just finally, the US State Department had a briefing in the last hour or so with Matthew Miller answering questions about this. And he was asked by the BBC about whether Israel had asked for a letter of assurance, including support for Israeli military action against threats from Lebanese territory. Again, he wouldn't answer that directly. Do you have any information on that?
I don't have any, definite information about that. I will say that, in the past year and a few months, we've seen too many times that the American administration has been saying we've never been closer to a deal, whether with Gaza, with Hamas, with Lebanon now. And I feel like it's not necessarily something that helps the negotiations, because as we know, there's still 100 Israeli hostages in Gaza. The war is still continuing on all fronts. So I would try and just be a bit patient and hope that actually, things will formulate into something that will allow safety for all citizens of all sides.
Zvika Klein, Editor-in-Chief of the Jerusalem Post, thank you so much for your time today.